Corrupt cops getting life sentences. Let's get it.
Robbery, drug dealing, and a web of lies to cover it all up.
Corruption on Baltimore Police's elite gun unit was breathtaking.
13 officers brought down.
One of the biggest corruption scandals.
A judge sentenced Sergeant Wayne Jenkins to 25 years.
The leader of the disgraced unit begged a judge for mercy.
Yeah, Sergeant Wayne Jenkins.
Sergeant Wayne Jenkins.
Sergeant Wayne Jenkins.
Man.
Sergeant Wayne Jenkins.
Just who is Wayne Jenkins?
We about to find out.
This case is a wild one. So wild that HBO Studios decided to make a 6-part series about it.
Wow.
An organized crime ring right inside the Baltimore Police Department. This case is ridden deep in corruption, with a total of 8 members involved, so our focus will be on the ringleader, Sergeant Wayne Jenkins. Jenkins was the leader of the Gun Trace Task Force, or GTTF, which was responsible for a number of underhanded crimes.
Jenkins admits to stealing prescription drugs that were originally looted from pharmacies during the riots.
Now, I deserve 10 to 15 years, Jessica. I sold drugs as a dirty cop.
Wayne Jenkins
And he
ran
said
his
it
elite
himself.
unit as a criminal gang.
Robbery, drugs.
I mean, let's keep it real. A lot of it is. I'm just saying.
Evidence planting, just to name a few.
Hell no.
Not exactly what the mayor had in mind when creating this group.
At least 10 armed robberies, burglaries, $1 million in drug sales, the systematic looting of overtime in a city that can barely afford it.
Sergeant Jenkins not only stole drugs, money, and overtime, he also stole a father and a husband from a family.
And it dated from recent cases like this one caught on body camera to 2011 when Jenkins's crew tried to rob 2 men in a car, causing them to flee, hitting and killing Elbert Davis.
His actions will leave a lifelong imprint on these poor people.
7 years later, we find out that corrupt cops who swore to protect and serve were nothing more than criminals.
One of the victim's daughters was asked if she could ever trust the police department after what transpired.
Never. Why even ask that
Her
question?
answer was quick and completely understandable.
Why would you even
Do you
ask that?
trust the police department after what your family has been through?
No, sir. No, never.
Why would you
We're
even
not sure
ask
we
that?
would either. But the question still remains. How
Why?
did years of organized crime in a police force finally get taken down?
Or how did they not get taken down to begin with? That's also another good question I'd want to know.
Inadvertently, one man was responsible.
A judge sentenced heroin dealer Antoine Washington for his role in a deadly drug ring. He sold the heroin that killed a teenager from Bel Air.
The files say that while wiretaps were being recorded, the voices of these 8 badge policemen turned mobsters were heard.
So did they wiretap the bad guys and then they got caught saying criminal activities, like, or were they being wiretapped for their, bad doings? Sorry guys, I can't think of the terminology right now. I'm a little tired.
Frequently throughout.
Police were investigating a string of suburban overdoses. They set up a wiretap. They soon found out that Baltimore City police officers were part of the drug trade.
Wow.
Now that's not normal.
No.
The investigation into that overdose led the feds directly to the Gun Trace Task Force, a corrupt unit of Baltimore City cops.
Upon further inspection, the FBI found that nothing relating to this group of officers was in fact normal.
Disgraced Detective Mamadou Gondo had been protecting the drug crew, enabling their business to flourish into a multi-million-dollar operation.
So I'm not going to arrest you guys as long as you guys send a little kickback. Is that what was going on? But I don't know why he thought he would never get caught. I mean, you're pretty much saying criminal activity will continue. So when the criminal activity continues and then FBI get involved, obviously you gonna get caught up, bro. Like, and even if you didn't get caught on wiretap, you think those drug runners ain't gonna snitch? Be like, yeah, the cop said it was all good. Oh, what cop did this one? He always let me go. I know his name. We cool. We on a first name basis. Come on, man.
On top of the recordings, they also discovered a number of official complaints and irregularities against these officers.
Further details illuminating the depth of corruption by Jenkins and company that today's plea proves. Goes back at least as far as 2010.
Sadly for Jenkins and his team, the FBI
years
now
later.
had themselves an abundance of evidence that would ultimately lead to arrests.
That was my choice, Jessica. Go to trial and get life. Life in prison with 3 small children.
Jenkins was sentenced
Don't
to
do the crime
25
if you
years in
can't
federal
do the
prison,
time.
where he was heard to have wept during his sentencing, begging the judge for mercy.
Has now pleaded guilty for his role in the robbery, extortion, and fraud ring while leading the elite Baltimore Police Department gun unit.
9 counts total in 2 different indictments. Racketeering, robbery, altering records, and depriving the freedom and liberty of 2 men by planting evidence in a case that sent them to prison.
His family had little to say regarding his sentencing.
What can you say? What can you say? Yeah, he got caught up. He shouldn't have been doing that. Like,
His lawyer,
what do you
however,
expect?
did have a few words on his behalf.
What do you say?
Mr. Jenkins is extremely remorseful.
No.
He's been remorseful for a long time, even before these charges were brought.
I don't think so. I don't think so. There's no way that you just start accidentally committing, crime, like altering records, bro. You have to go out of your way to alter records. Like, no.
And
I
Jenkins
don't
himself
believe that at all.
does seem to show signs of remorse.
When
He's
asked by
upset he
Judge
got
Blake
caught.
if the former sergeant had anything else to say before accepting his guilty plea, he said, quote, "No, ma'am, I am ashamed of myself."
Should Jenkins
should
really
be.
be forgiven? We're not so sure.
No.
It's easy to show
No.
remorse when you've been caught.
100%.
Something tells us that he wouldn't have stopped so quickly had the FBI not been hot on his tail.
He'd still be doing it. Why would you stop? You didn't get caught. You're getting millions and all this stuff. Like, why would you stop? No. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
London police officer has been sentenced to life in prison for the kidnap, rape and murder of a young woman.
She was caring. She was
Wow.
funny. She was clever.
On the evening of March the 3rd, 2021, PC Wayne Couzens was waiting.
This was
It's
recent.
clear, isn't it, that the only reason he was here was to abduct a woman.
Wayne Couzens pretended to arrest Sarah Everard and used his police handcuffs to kidnap her.
In her last hours, she was faced with brutality and terror, alone with someone
No.
intent on doing her harm.
Ladies, no. Like, keep something on you. I don't care if it's one officer by himself. Look, if you're in the States and it's one officer by themselves trying to conduct some type of investigation or arrest or whatever, you have the right to call for a female officer to come do a search. Point blank, period. No, I don't care what badge he got. I don't care if he FBI, CIA, call for a female officer, female co-worker, whatever, to let them come do it. Don't do it. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. No.
A police officer and now a self-confessed sex killer.
This case is the definition of cruelty. A true example of abuse of power, and a case which happened just 19 months ago. This was a crime which was weeks in the making. On the evening of March 3rd, 2021, 33-year-old Sarah Everard was walking home from her friend's house just outside of Brixton.
33. I'm over here thinking maybe this is a young woman like 19, 18, 17. This is a grown woman, 33. If it can happen to her, it can happen to anybody.
Hill. While walking down the A25, she was then stopped by a man who this case is focused on. Police Constable Wayne Couzens. The details that are about to follow regarding the next 96 hours in this case will chill you to your core.
Witnesses saw this, the moment of the calculated kidnap. They believed Wayne Couzens was an officer doing his job. Couzens then drove to a remote rural area where he raped and murdered Sarah Everard. He's later seen on CCTV, calmly continuing with daily life.
In the rural area of Ashford, it is believed that Couzens raped and then strangled Sarah just 100 yards from his woodland cottage using his police-issued belt, literally taking the law into his own hands.
This is no time for jokes, bro.
Couzens just left the body there in the woods whilst he drove to Kent where he disposed of her phone. On March 5th, he then filled a petrol tank with fuel and burned her body inside of a refrigerator. On March 7th, he bought 2 contractor builder bags, which he used to conceal the burned body before disposing of her remains into a nearby pond. If your stomach isn't
he did everything. He did it all. Killed her, burned the body, had her in the woods that nobody goes to, dumped her cell phone somewhere else, put her body bag in the thing, and then dumped her in a pond. And he still got caught, bro. If this makes you think I should not do anything crazy or illegal like murder, rape, or whatever, this should be the case. He did everything right, and he was a cop. He knows what they're going to look for, how they're going to look for it, and he still got caught. People don't think, bro. Stop. This is not 2000. This ain't 1980. This ain't 1536. If you do a crime like murder, there is a 80% chance you are going to get caught. So don't do it.
Thick enough yet, this twisted individual had more secrets to share. Details that shed a light on Cousins, his manipulative nature, and his pure desperation as he's locked in handcuffs. Here is the body cam recording of Cousins being questioned by police in his own residence.
Do you know Sarah?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know where Sarah is?
No. Sat in handcuffs and what I know her. So you must have something to say that I know her.
Have you ever personally met her?
No, not personally, no. I don't know if my family's going to be alright still. They threatened to take my family away from me.
You can hear Cousins claim that a local gang had approached him, threatened him, and requested that a girl be delivered to an unknown location in exchange for his family's safety. Yet we know this not to be true.
He is smart.
And so did the police.
Smart.
Officers found Sarah's body 50 miles away in remote woodland in Kent.
Nah, he's smart for that one, because he was like, oh, you showing me pictures of a girl, you got me in handcuffs, so you must got something on me. He said that, like, yeah, y'all got something. And he know he did it. So he's like, all right, there's no way I can say I really don't know her. I got to spin this into some type of other situation. Boy, them cameras came in handy, because honestly, they probably would have believed his ass.
It was hidden in a builder's bag. Analysis of his mobile phone showed he'd been in the woods where Sarah was found.
They know where your phone's been, the GPS on your iPhone, bro. Like,
these horrific details
get
pose
caught.
The question, was this really the one and only time Cousins had committed an act this dark?
Probably not, the way he was acting.
Well,
he acted like
these
it was another
despicable
Saturday.
acts were fresh in the judge's mind at sentencing when he had this to say.
You have irretrievably damaged the lives of Sarah Everard's family and friends. You have very considerably added to the sense of insecurity that many have living in our cities, perhaps particularly women, when travelling by themselves, and especially at night.
Even his old boss could not disguise her disdain at his actions and the tarnishing of the Metropolitan Police Force.
I absolutely know that there are those who feel their trust in us is shaken. I recognise that for some people, a precious bond of trust has been damaged.
100%.
I am so sorry.
But the real pain can be heard in the words of Sarah's family, the people who will be scarred by this heinous act for the rest of their lives.
Wayne Cousins held a position of trust as a police officer, and we are outraged and sickened that he abused this trust in order to lure Sarah to her death. The world is a safer place with him imprisoned.
This case had some backlash that was felt nationwide in the UK.
I think the death penalty would be good for this guy. He didn't just kill her. He did what he did and then burnt the body. Like, you can't even hold a proper funeral for her. Nah, bro. Death penalty. Fuck that. Fuck that. The whole, the death penalty is the easy way out. He should rot in prison. Rot in prison? You mean sit in a bunk all damn day? Possibly watch TV? Because they pretty lenient in the UK jails from what I hear. They chilling, watching TV. Hell no. Hell no. No. Hell no.
It turns out Cousins had received an indecent exposure complaint earlier that week, and that the MET police force may have been able to prevent Sarah's death.
Sarah's death sparked nationwide protests and vigils. For his crimes,
Educate your sons.
Wayne...
Look, now this is the shit I can't stand right here. Educate your sons. Educate your sons. Like, this isn't oh, I tell my kid not to touch people inappropriately, and then he won't do it. That's not how that works. This was a grown-ass man as a police officer. Like, this ain't educate your son and this won't happen. This will still happen. Maybe a female could do this. You don't think women can't kill people, can't lure a man home, drug him, murder him, take his stuff? You don't think that's never happened ever? I hate this stuff, bro. They make it so unnecessarily political. And like, it's not that the sons aren't educated. Even if there are even if you sat down your kid and you held him in Catholic school and you're like, don't do this, you'll go to hell. Don't be a bad boy. Sit up straight. Have your nails trimmed. Say yes, ma'am, no, sir, no, ma'am, all that. Praise Jesus. He could still end up being a murderer. Education is not what stops people from doing crimes. They have something wrong with their heads if they think, oh, I'm just going to do it anyway. Like, there's no form of education to stop people from doing bad stuff. If they want to do bad stuff, they will do it. Whether they do it when they're 10, whether they do it when they're 15, whether they do it when they're 60, they will do it. This whole educate your son or educate your daughter is nonsense. Humans do what they want to do. There's a reason why back in caveman times, people were going out literally murdering people. There's a reason why after caveman times, Roman Colosseum times, we throw people out into the Colosseum and they fight animals all day. Or they fight other humans to the death. And people were like, yeah, he's dead. There's no form of just, oh, educate them and they'll be all right. There's a primal instinct in human nature that makes us act some type of evil way. It just is. And to say you could just educate that is total nonsense. You're believing in a fairy tale.
For his crimes, Wayne Couzens has been...
But let me know if you disagree. Leave a comment.
...told he'll never be released from prison.
Thankfully, Couzens won't ever be able to repeat these acts, as he has no possibility of parole, with a whole life sentence.
Unless he breaks out. And then we got a whole nother
issue. News. A Miami-Dade police officer is facing some serious charges today after his arrest.
Miami-Dade police lieutenant under arrest tonight. The allegations very disturbing.
This next case again pushes the boundaries of some of the horrific things that are being done behind the badge.
The Miami-Dade police lieutenant under arrest for molesting a child.
You know, guys, really disturbing details surrounding this case.
He's accused of molesting a girl.
Molestation. This is a hard story to highlight.
Actually, you don't even really got to give them the death penalty. I hear if you go to jail and they find out what you did to a kid, oh, it's beat down city. That's the death penalty on its own. So go ahead.
But when it's a person that society sees as a protector, that's ultimately the predator, we need to shed light on the atrocities and betrayal.
To the wolves.
In 2018, 47-year-old Braulio Gonzalez was arrested on multiple counts of molestation on a then 8-year-old child.
This is a mugshot of Miami-Dade Police Lieutenant Braulio Gonzalez, a veteran member of the Miami-Dade Police Department SWAT team.
The crime started in 2011.
So he was one of the head honchos, one of the toughest guys out there to be part of SWAT team. Probably saved multiple lives, probably did multiple drug and gun raids. Still ended up being a POS and touching kids. It don't matter what type of education. You don't just join SWAT team. Like, you're given background checks and you go through intense training to be part of SWAT team. That's not something that's just given out. He was evaluated and then he still ended up doing this. So this whole educate your son's bullshit, out the fucking window. They're a POS. It is what it is. As soon as you find out, take them down.
11 and continued for 2 whole years until 2013 when the girl turned 10.
The lieutenant abused a female, according to documents, over a period of 2 years, and at one time held a gun at her head.
There is very little information about the victim because of her age, so we will refer to her as Jane Smith. Jane told police that she was scared for her life and this was the reason she didn't come forward sooner.
Of course.
Well, this lieutenant was booked a little after 5 o'clock this afternoon. According to documents, this abuse happened several years ago. Here's the story.
He would then, over the next couple of years, touch her body in every inappropriate way that you can think of. Truly sickening. So how was this child molester finally apprehended? What brought forward into the light his awful crimes that he'd hidden for years?
This little girl told a psychiatrist on September 5th about the alleged abuse that took place between 2011 and
props on the
2013.
psychiatrist.
Jane would tell her therapist about the
Good.
situation,
Good.
which ultimately started the investigation
Good.
that put this monster away. And in May of 2022, that's exactly what happened.
So tonight, life in
Couple
prison.
months
That is
ago.
the sentence handed down to a former Miami-Dade police officer convicted of molesting several girls. 2 of the victims spoke about what happened to them. Gonzalez was arrested in 2018 after a victim told a psychologist he fondled her several times when she was between 8 and 10 years old.
So at this time, based on the jury's findings, on every count, I'm sentencing you to life in prison. Count 1 will be a 10-year minimum mandatory. Counts 2 through 9 will have a 25-year minimum mandatory.
There we
Everything
go.
will run concurrent.
Gonzalez is now serving his time behind bars, so the children of the Miami-Dade area no longer need to check under their beds at night.
No,
With
they
one
still
less
do.
monster
Well, one
free
less
to
don't
roam the
mean you
streets.
good.
George Floyd, an African-American man who died in police custody.
The incident was caught on camera, and we must warn you the images are disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, we're gonna fast forward this. We're gonna fast forward this part. We're gonna go to the end because even I can't really sit through this.
Demonstrations across the country grow.
Even I can't sit through this.
People were outraged, social movements were created, and Chauvin was made to take responsibility for his actions, where other guilty officers had not before him. After weeks of testimonies in a long and vigorous trial, the verdict was in.
Sentence for count 1. The court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. Based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd.
I remember when everybody found out about the sentencing, everybody was surprised. Everybody thought he was gonna get a not guilty, probably get some community service, bro. Everybody was surprised. And that tells you the state of trust that we have with our government and our judiciary system, where everybody's surprised when a corrupt cop actually faces some jail time. That's absolutely sad, but good thing that he got arrested. Man.
You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition for the remainder of your life.
You'll see little to no emotion is shown by Chauvin throughout his sentencing. Much like during the 8 minutes he had his knee on the neck of George Floyd, cutting off oxygen.
Bruh,
to
is
his
this a
lungs.
joke or is this a
Derek
metaphor?
Chauvin,
I don't think it's appropriate.
George Floyd. 2 names that will be written into history for eternity. Chauvin for his deadly abuse of power. Floyd for his tragic, untimely
Bruh,
death.
I ain't gonna lie, and it's sad to see what happened to George Floyd. Not just his death, but his face being used as a marketing campaign, political campaign. Like, this man lost his life. And then everybody wants to bring up his past, like, oh, you know, he used to sell CDs, this and that, sell cigarettes. And look, man, nobody's perfect. But that don't mean you get to get killed by a police officer. Like, and even then, like, after he died, everybody wants to use his face. People selling George Floyd shirts. That money didn't go to his family. I guarantee you that. There's a couple people hustling trying to make a quick buck off this man's death. It is sad to say. It is sad to see it. I can only imagine what the family's going through. And people think, yeah, we did it. Yeah. They still lost they family member, man. And nobody cares. Like, it's crazy. It is 100% crazy, bro. People
A
are
death
wild.
that highlighted the need to do better as a society and the need to hold everyone accountable for their actions, especially those who have power and influence, those that swore an oath to serve and protect.
But bro, it was a big building point before George Floyd. George Floyd was just the camel that broke, or it broke the camel's back, the straw that broke the camel's back. But bro, like, you see the posters, you see his face on the posters, on T-shirts. It's like, bro, I get it. It's the be what do they call it? Like awareness, bro. Everybody knew already. You selling the 500 George Floyd T-shirt, I'm guaranteeing you, people already knew. Okay, nobody's just gonna buy a shirt with a black man face on it. They didn't know who he was. Like, come on, bro. Like, stop playing with me, bro. Stop playing. Anyways, that was a good video. I'm glad these people got arrested and sentenced for their crimes. Which ones do you think deserve the death penalty? Definitely the ones that, you know, the guy that molested the kid, the guy that, you know, did what he did to that woman in the woods and then burnt her body. Definitely. I don't know about the one with the drugs. I don't know if that deserves a death penalty. Definitely life in prison. I would say, like, you purposely ruin the welfare and the health of the community for monetary gain. Does that deserve death? Maybe. I mean, someone did end up losing their lives because of your stuff, your shenanigans. But I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm still saying, like, yeah. The first one, questionable. Definitely life. I wouldn't give death, but personally, I wouldn't give death. But life, definitely no parole. You should not be let back out on the streets after what you did. And then the other ones, yeah, death penalty. The George Floyd one, do you guys think he deserved the death penalty? I don't know. I personally do not know. Life in prison sounds fine with me for that one too. But death penalty for the knee on the neck, I don't know. You guys let me know. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Like, there's some things that are like, okay, death penalty 100%, and other things where it's like, I don't know. And if I have to say I don't know to the death penalty, I'd rather say no, because it's still taking someone's life, regardless of how much of a POS they are, how disrespectful they are, how despicable they are. If I have to say I'm not sure and I don't know, then it should be a no, because that is still somebody's life being taken. But if I'm like, yeah, give them death penalty, hey, it is what it is. Anyways, this is your boy Miz. Comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.